I'm being joined tonight by one of the leaders of a major opposition force in Nigeria, the national chairman of the Social Democratic Party, Alhaji Shehu Gabam. He's live for us here in our studio. It's a pleasure having you join us tonight on the program, Alhaji Gabam. How do you describe our democracy? You heard different views from different three personalities as we are being able to extract from that colloquium, but there are different people who spoke. But how do you describe, considering what you see today?
First of all, let me thank you for inviting me. Secondly, let me thank your management for giving me tea to break my fast.
You're welcome.
I'm grateful
in the spirit of Ramadan.
And I'm sure, if you could remember vividly, your opening remark yesterday, was quite solid, very fundamental to who we are as a nation. We have abandoned our values, our principles, and the foundations of democracy that we cherish as a copycat of presidential system of democracy. Extraying what the leaders have said, from Martin Kuka to President Obasanjo to Peter Obi and a host of others, if you also listen to what former President Jonathan have said, it's extremely, very, very painful that a journey that started innocently, where people left military administration, came together, formed a movement that led to the formation of political parties in 1988 to 1989, have never thought that we would drill to this point that we are today. The entire philosophy is to entrenching our democratic culture, our democratic system, a sense of belonging, a participatory democracy of every Nigerian, irrespective of tribe or religion. I was part of that founding member. I know the wisdom, I know the philosophy behind the founding fathers of the party. Some of them paid supreme price. They were sent to prison. But today, nobody remembers them. And the entire characteristics that define democracy is no longer in existence. A nation that every day wakes up with killings, maimings, barbarism, kidnappings, insecurity, hunger, and poverty contradict every definition of democracy all over the world. A nation that will wake up, its citizens cannot afford to feed itself 2 or twice a day, have contradicted the entire definition and responsibility of democracy. Now, all this has been directed at the presidency. The president is aware. We have mentioned it. We have appealed, make corrections, make adjustments. But it appears that the president have lost the sight of the fact that he was part of this journey at a point. He was on exile at a point that the nation is struggling and fighting to restore democracy. Today, he happened to be a president of Nigeria by an act of destiny. And everything that he was looking for is available in Nigeria. There are most brilliant, most intelligent people that would have guided, generate ideas how to drive the process. They were all sidelined, including political parties that ought to have provided a buffer, because we are talking about a country after election. Once you are sworn in, your responsibility is how to move the country forward. None was put into consideration. And of course, what remains is what we are seeing today, the kind of balkanization of the system, the kind of destruction we are seeing in a nation where we have a democracy guided by law, we have a constitution, you have a leadership of a nation that will go outside the rule of law, outside the constitution, and make a pronouncement that is creating a very hot atmosphere that we are facing today as a nation. I feel sad about it because I invested all my life in the democracy, fighting for democracy, restoration of democracy. And we feel ashamed that we are at the crossroads where you cannot fault former President Obasanjo by virtue of his experience, being in the military, elected president. President Jonathan compressed and condensed his submission. You cannot fault it. I've also listened to Wole Soyinka, very precise to the point. What are we talking about? Can the president believe that all these people are wrong? Can he believe that all of us are wrong? Can he believe that the media institutions that are custodian with some information and intelligence of what is going on in the country are also wrong by advising him? Unfortunately, we are a nation where so much psychophants have taken over the system. There's virtually no realists. What we have are theories-oriented people who will come out with policies or ideas that are not realistic, and they are pushing it forward. Otherwise, you cannot have crisis 2 years into government that is almost collapsing the entire
Let me
system.
ask you specifically, so that we can speak to the issues in a more specific manner. The democracy that we run, and everyone that becomes Nigeria's president seems to have won the toga of being the face of Nigeria's democracy, because swearing to the constitution means that you are upholding the tenets and the pillars of our democracy.
Absolutely.
And from what you are describing, I'd like to know in specific and direct terms, what is democracy under the Tinubu government? How would you describe it?
Well, let me say that, look, in every democracy, not just Bola, is about the safety of life and properties of Nigerians. If you take the statistics of what is going on, you know that the government have failed in terms of providing law and order in the country.
How do you say that?
How do I say that? Are you aware of the number of insecurity going on around the country? I'm sure you are aware. Even last week or so, the kind of people were kidnapped, people were killed, people were maimed. Now, yes, there are areas that you can say there are improvements. The number of kidnappings have dropped, but it has not stopped. Now, in a nation that cannot fit its own citizens, you are talking about democracy here, that cannot fit its own citizens, what position are they taking in terms of defining their own government? In a nation where you cannot get justice, where the judiciary deliver judgment based on what they think is right, not based on reality and facts available to them, to which the president lays as a foundation to the decision you have taken in River State, because it's mentioned about the Supreme Court judgment as it relates to River State. Now, in a nation where the judiciary is not living up to the standard of Nigerians, in a nation where you have the strongest arm of government, the National Assembly, is not living to the expectation of Nigerians, they go outside their own rules in conducting their business without reading and understanding the implication to the nation, then I think virtually every factor that you are looking for, you are shopping for anywhere in any shopping mall that define democracy have been violated.
Under the Tinubu government?
Under the Tinubu government. That is the reality we are facing. Not to talk of human rights abused, not to talk of intimidation and harassment.
Would it be fair? Would it be fair? I mean, when you describe this government, which we say they're making effort in correcting the ills of the past, and some of the things that are ongoing in the country, according to this government, will say we did not. This is how we met it, and we are trying to fix things. They will say there have been foundations that have been wrought with a lot of missteps over the years, and they are trying to correct it, and it will take a lot of pains to correct. Are you going to put all of those blames on this government that is less than 2 years old?
Shehu, there's nothing like that. There is nothing like that in governance. Governance is about continuity. President Bola Tinubu is aware of the rotten situation or the rotten system he have inherited. He promised to fix them. He campaigns on them. And at the point he said that if I do not provide electricity to all Nigerians within 4 years, don't vote for me again, which means that he understood clearly what he wants to do, what he wants to achieve, what are the deliverables. He have analyzed them. He has come to the conclusion that he will solve the problem. Now, one of the things he inherited is insecurity. There's no doubt about it. It's not just him. Even the other administration inherited that. In 1999, there was such a report that there will be pocket of crisis across the 6 geopolitical zones. So every president that came into office got security report and intelligence of what the country is going through. So what we expected is that the president would prioritize what he wants to achieve. The first thing he did was removing the subsidy. In the nation that was already enveloped by poverty, by insecurity, by rascality, by lack of deterrence, and then subsidy was removed. Now the entire...
Which was a campaign promise by most of the presidential candidates at the time.
No, they did not say they will remove it 100%. This is not the first time subsidy was removed. Every president that understands the dynamics and the peculiarities of his own country knows that you cannot go all the hog and remove it completely. You have to do it bit by bit so that you feel the pulse of the people, of the citizens.
You seem to be describing Nigeria as though Nigeria is derailing under this government.
Not just under this government. My fear is that he inherited a system that was derailing. My expectation that he will stop the derailing. That was my expectation. I've always said that my expectation with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he will perform much, much better than even former President Muhammad Buhari. I said severally here on air. I have nothing against him as a president, but I have everything against the policy that they are pursuing that have no human face, that doesn't recognize the dignity of the citizens.
Which are these policies?
One, I have mentioned it maybe for the sake of repetition. The protection of life and properties of Nigerians.
Would you say that security is worse off right now than about 2 years ago before this government came into office?
What is the improvement from what you know? Do we have improvement in the agricultural culture that is related to insecurity? Farmers cannot go to farm?
What about the Northwest? Hasn't things improved?
In what areas? It depends where you are talking about. In the Northwest.
Talking banditry?
You are talking about, which area? In Katsina State, there's still banditry going on. In Zamfara, there's still banditry going on. Part of Kebbi, there's still banditry going on. Part of Sokoto, there's still banditry going on. You can minus Kano, you can minus Jigawa states in the 7 South, Northwest states. But in all these states where you have banditry that have been entrenched, it has been reduced, but it's still constituting.
So in your own assessment, Alhaji Gabam, this government, how would you describe them in terms of focus and the purpose and the performance of promise being made during the campaign? How would you describe them in their journey to achieving that?
I have said that before. What the president likes is a team. Governance is not about individualism. It's not about monopoly. It's not about the cabinet and the team is put together. It's not about monopoly of knowledge and wisdom. It's about, that is why there's a division of labor in governance. The president needs a team that understands the peculiarities of Nigeria. There's a history, there's an archives, where we were going right, where we were going wrong.
But he has a cabinet.
Well, I don't know about the cabinet. If the cabinet are up to date with the reality of Nigerians, with what Nigerians are facing. You can imagine the youth couple that have turned into controversy. She was crying on the screen. She cannot afford to buy a crate of egg, and the thing have gone viral. She was being threatened. Is that democracy? Is that freedom of expression as enshrined in our constitution? The NYSC and an institution threatening her? Do they know what she goes through? These are millions of people that are dying in silence. Go to the hospitals. Please spare time and go to the hospitals. People cannot pay their bills. They are dying because of sicknesses. There is no attention. If you take somebody who needs adequate attention in the hospital, once you take him to the hospital, the protocol associated to admitting him, he will die before he's been admitted in the hospital.
Let me ask you, is that one of the reasons why your party has suddenly become the beautiful bride to most of the politicians and those who are aggrieved in the APC? I saw that a picture surfaced of you and Mrs. Binani having a meeting. Is that about also crossing from the APC to the PDP, just like Nasiru El-Rufai?
No, my responsibility as leader of the party is to consult as much as possible. I'm not going to disclose those that I'm consulting. It is within my own strategy to give everybody his own respect, his own due. In due course, we'll cross the bridge. But we are on consultation. We are on reaching out to people that will create the impact, that will change the society, and make sure that we have a great country. So the consultation is ongoing.
I'm almost going to be believing now, if I see anybody take a picture with you, that they're likely to cross to the SDP. The last time I asked you about Nasiru El-Rufai, you said it was a consultation. Now, the picture with you and Ms. Binani give me a sense that if history of a very short one at that would be right, Ms. Binani might be on her way to the SDP.
Well, I don't want to make an issue, but let me tell you this. Virtually every day, we receive the campees into SDP. Every state of the federation, including today. I received some today in my office. These are dignitaries. If you Google, you will see there are over 300 resignation letters from VIP. Some of them were senators, some of them were ministers that are joining the party. So it's not about just one individual.
What are they telling you about the APC that they are jumping from?
Well, some of them are not really APC. Some of them belong to other political parties. Like the ones I received, they belong to about 4 political parties.
Well, talk about the ones that we know that are prominent. We'll talk about Nasiru El-Rufai. But we talk about Mrs. Binani, who was the APC governorship candidate in Adamawa State. In just a recent election, less than 2 years ago.
Binani have not joined SDP.
No, but I mean, I just made a reference to the fact that the last time I saw a picture with you and Nasir El-Rufai, it was consultation. This time around, Binani with you and the picture that surfaced, I mean, maybe in another week or so, we might be seeing her joining the SDP.
Well, if you follow the Nasir trajectory in APC, he said that APC left him. Okay? APC have left him a long time ago. And he made up his mind also to leave. And of course, I'm a leader of a political party. I'm to provide base for every politician, irrespective of dissent. That is why we have multiple political parties registered by law. And we are not antagonistic to to this present government. We did not create their own problem.
But you want this government out of power. You want to unseat.
I'm a leader of a political party.
That's your agenda.
My mission is to take over the government as a leader of a political party. What else is my mission?
And you are working hard to do that.
The mission of APC is to retain power.
Are you still using...
The mission of PDP is to take over government. PDP was in government for 16 years. So what is wrong with what I'm doing? I'm doing it within the ambit of the law.
Are you retaining your presidential candidate from the last election?
He was our former presidential candidate. We have not conducted presidential primaries. INEC have no release timetable for the presidential primaries. So I don't know where the issue is coming from.
But in some instance, it will be... an opportunity of us to refuse her, asking him whether he's going to be interested. Because there are now, when you have the likes of Nasir El-Rufai, there are those who will be thinking maybe there will be reconsideration as to who then will be the leader and the face of your party.
Look, we have not discussed that. That have not come to discussion at all. And I wouldn't want to go into this.
Is your party going to be the vehicle for the coalition that they're talking about?
It's not about one-man decision. It's not about chairman decision.
Is your party the face of, or going to be the coalition for that a lot of people have been mouthing?
We are ready for that. We have our own code of conduct. And that is why we told everyone, anyone who is willing to join SDP should go and join as individual in his ward, in his local government, in his states, so that we can build a party that will look like ANC of South Africa, where the party is spring, like NPN and so on.
You've worked with Atiku Abubakar.
Yes, I did.
Is he coming to your party too?
Well, I won't get there until we get there.
I saw some of your colleagues in the SDP who were seated with Atiku Abubakar at a press conference. And there are those who were saying that maybe, just maybe, SDP might be the vehicle to be used against, a major vehicle used against the APC in 2027.
Look, let me tell you.
Is that the ultimate agenda?
SDP is an excellent political party, it's an excellent platform for any career politician and anybody who wants to join politics. We make sure we'll abide by the rules. We make sure we are very strict. We make sure also there's deterrence. Nobody is indispensable as far as the party is concerned. Once you breach the law will take its course. There must be a discipline in the political party. So what I'm saying is that the party is open to any genuine Nigerian who want to join the party and aspire to any position. The moment you register as a member of the party, you can contest from councillor to the president. There's no restriction at all. Unless we are in a situation where waiver is needed, the party will sit down and consider giving waiver.
Can we consider and take it to the bank that your party is a coalition force that a lot of people have been talking about? Is that for a fact?
Well, you know, there are a lot of groupings, meetings going on. I'm not part of those groupings. I'm not part of those coalitions meeting that is going on.
Will your party form a coalition with other political parties?
I am a chairman of a political party. I'm not supposed to be part of all these group discussions going on because they have their own conflicting interests embedded in those meetings that are going on. But the moment they made up their mind, this is their decision, they want to join SDP, SDP will welcome them 100%.
But your SDP is not ready for coalition.
What do you mean by coalition? Coalition is
when political parties come together and form a force.
Yes, they can form a force and join as members of SDP without any precondition. Because the moment you start giving condition, there is a recipe for crisis. And it's a crisis we are avoiding. We are running away from the crisis because every movement has its own virus. So if you don't have a strong antidote to those viruses, you better maintain the status quo, make sure that you pilot the affairs of the party up to the point of elections or primaries, where people will be properly elected without interference of the judiciary, and so on and so forth. Because these days, functions of parties have been taken by judiciary. Functions of INEC have been also taken by judiciary. So we have to be very careful how we navigate through this difficult period that we are in our democratic journey.
Let me ask you, is your party of the philosophy that the rotational principle, unwritten principle that is, that power should be retained in the South?
Well, thank you. You said unwritten. Yes, you know, we had that case up to the Supreme Court, the case of Donald versus Professor Jerry Gana. Mm-hmm. Rotation is an internal understanding of a political party. It's not a constitutional thing. If the stakeholders at the appropriate time sit down and agree that let us zone this to this particular zone, we'll abide by it. We are Democrat. We will not force our way all through. Our expectation is that is to provide a clean slate for every Nigerian to aspire to whatever position he wants to aspire to.
What role will Nasir El-Rufai be playing in your party? Since he is the
Malam Nasir El-Rufai is an asset, and you know better than that. He's a workaholic. And we believe that he will add value to SDP, not just him. Others that are coming will add great value to SDP. We don't have monopoly of knowledge and wisdom. We need people with extra capacity to add value to what we are doing. And no party knows it all. When you have a convergence of assets, of people that believe in the future of Nigeria, believe in the supremacy of the institution, that can punish people, that can create deterrence, that can create opening, then you have a party that you can be proud of. You cannot have a party that have manifesto and you elect the president and will start implementing his own personal agenda. The manifesto of the party is also supreme. And anything outside that, the party cannot stand the test of time.
Let me ask you quickly. You know President Bola Tinubu.
Yes, I do.
And there are those who will say it's probably one of the smartest political strategies that this nation has seen in the Fourth Republic. Does it come to your mind that it takes a lot to be able to displace him, politically speaking, in the political game in Nigeria?
President Bola Tinubu is an individual, he's a Nigerian. Well, Nigeria have produced a lot of talents, brilliant people as leaders of the country, both in military and in civilian administration. And also, to cap up what I've said, what I'm going to say is that, look, President Jonathan invested heavily to return to power. And he has some of the brilliant people in his cabinet. But because of some missing steps, he lost the election. Anyone can lose the election. It's not about individual strategy. If there's brilliancy, if there's efficacy in power, they wouldn't have been making the mistake they are making today. So it's left for individual analysis and perception.
So you have...
We believe that there are surplus of talents untapped in Nigeria that can provide leadership in Nigeria. No individual have monopoly or quality of leadership that is not available anywhere else.
So you think you can beat Bola Tinubu to this game?
Not that I think. As a party, my strategy is to beat APC and to uproot them from power.
And you think that can be easy?
It's very possible. You forgot that PDP was in power for 16 years. APC went and packaged what they need to package at that time because PDP refused to do the right thing. And they dislodged PDP 16 years in office. And you're talking about somebody who is in office for 2 years? There's no need for comparison. The feelings you need to take the pulse of the country.
Let me ask you on a final note. What do we expect? Because I am hearing that there is a lot that is brewing and a lot of conversation with political heavyweights in the country. And there are things that Nigerians should be expecting in the coming days that are heavy politically.
Naturally, we are facing election. As politicians, we don't operate with guns. Our guns is our thumb. And we'll apply it when the time comes. If government is doing the needful, probably there will be no need for such thing. If they were listening to feelings of Nigerians and free consultation services being offered, probably they might be lucky.
From your own end, the game is up for them.
I think it is. And I've said it the last time, I did not mix words. Jonathan lost election 2 years before the election. Go and take the statistics. And he have not done as worse as what is going on today. He lost the election 2 years before election. And from what is going on, the disconnection in the system, the lack of listening, the intimidation and harassment. I have mentioned to you here as an opposition leader, my security, my mobile police were withdrawn. I'm the only one. They withdraw my security. 3 months now. I have appealed to the IG, have not listened to it. So what can I do as an individual that you withdraw my security that I'm entitled to? Not only entitled to, I applied. Now, if you see me as a threat, when I wasn't a threat to you, when I was offering free consultation services, and we have friends, very, very close friends in this government, that are turning against us, seeing us as enemies, using the instrument of their office to intimidate us. Some of us are well-trained progressive. We are not cowards. If you use instrument of intimidation, you will lose us completely.
Wow.
You will lose us completely.
All right.
You can't intimidate anyone.
Yeah.
Let Remy went to prison. It's bravery that took him to prison. It's not cowardness. We are product of guts. And we'll stand anyone who will challenge our integrity. Nigeria belongs to all of us. Nobody will claim to have monopoly of Nigeria. And we have seen it in the third time. We have seen it, Nigeria have demonstrated capacity that nobody will crush them and they will not, it will go unchallenged.
Alhaji Shehu Gabam, the national chairman of the SDP. Thank you so much indeed for your time.
A great pleasure.
I appreciate you.